Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a subscriber, DJ, who reached out and wanted to share his terrifying encounter that he had in Virginia about a couple weeks ago. He needed some time. Tonight, he shares that encounter with us. Before we get into that encounter, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that, well, they just don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? All right, everybody. Tonight, we have waited about a week and a half. DJ needed some time to process this terrifying Dogman encounter he had about 2 weeks ago. When he shared it with me, he could barely talk. I mean, he was talking, but it took him a little while to open up. And tonight he agreed to share this encounter. DJ, I'm glad you're here. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good tonight, Jeff. Not bad at all. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, and I really appreciate it. So, pretty much, you've had an encounter where you and a good friend of yours were on your old farmland, and now you've had quite a few experiences with the Dogman. This one is the most terrifying one for you. And when you shared it with me, I absolutely would agree with you 100%. It is terrifying. And the floor is yours, DJ. The floor is yours.
Well, Jeff, like you said, it was a couple weeks ago. And I stay up a lot during the night. I'm a night person most of the time, but like I do. I was sitting here listening to TV and watching TV. And the dogs all up and down the neighborhood here will bark. And that's one or two at that time of the night. It's normal. It's normal. A couple barks here. But every one of them was in unison. One barked, they all barked like a symphony, except for two that my neighbor has very close behind us. And they weren't doing nothing. And these are the two types of animals that if a pin drops, they bark. They don't know. It don't care if it's just an insect or they hear a car door. They're always barking off the chain. And the longer I sit here, the longer I thought that something didn't sound right. And then a feeling come over, and I'm like, that something's going on. So I looked out the window here, and one dog was in its kennel, and the other dog was in its house. But out the one toward the kennel, as the dusty dawn light shined across the road, I seen like a black shape that was moving very little, but it was stationary for the most part. And I thought it was just maybe what a shadow. I didn't know, but then I noticed it moved a little bit. So I went in and got some clothing, got my shirt on and put my shoes on, and grabbed one of my handguns that I keep around and walked outside to investigate. Well, I walked by this place and paid no mind and walked down the end of the road and didn't see nothing. Was on my way back, checking with the light, listening for sound. And the first time I walked by, there was nothing there. The second time I came around and shined a light, right there it was. It was on all fours, probably stands, I would think, maybe 3.5, 4 foot tall. And that stunned me for one, but the color of this thing was a blondish brown, but it's like the hue of it, the tips of its fur get off like a gray luster, like you would think when people spray the fake ice on their Christmas tree. And was like on the tips of the fur. That's how it looked until, I adjusted my beam and it turned around and looked at me. And forgive me a little bit here. I get myself. The eyes, I have never, the other run-ins I've had with these things, I've seen them at a distance, and I've seen one, dead.
Yep.
But to be up close and see these eyes, I can't put it into words. It's like it's pure malevolence. The eyes just like, they freeze your soul, is the only way I know to put it. And, I could have swore that I've seen two vertical slits, that like a goat's eye or a serpent's, but I don't know if that's what I've seen. It was just the darkness of the pupil, but around the eye was amber. And then my light's on it, and it's glowing. And I only got a 5 to a 70-second window, is what I estimated after I calmed down and rethought my steps and what happened of me facing this thing eye to eye. But at the time, it seemed like it was a lifetime. Well, it didn't pay me no mind, and I thought it was just on all fours. I didn't know. It turned around, and all at one time, it stood up, but it didn't stand up. It like stayed crouched over, like it, like somebody was spinal bifida is what it reminded me of. And it turned around, and all in one uniform step, it's like its arms came up. I seen they had arms, not legs. It's like they hung down and it touched the hands or whatever you want to call them, paws, paw-like, touched the ground for a tenth of a second with its hands, and it flat-footed 10, 12 feet over the fence and in the air, and it was gone. But it sounded like a herd of hippopotamus breaking down the brush and the trees and the saplings and the briars, and I could hear it clean all the way back into the holler near a source of water is where it's headed to. And I guess I still stood there for, 5 minutes, catching my sanity, I guess you would say. And one of the people that lived there come out, and I run her back in the house before I had seen it. I knew there was something going on. And before, she said she'd heard something outside, and she knew there was something out there. But, I just told her to go back to the house. This is before I seen it. When I come back around, I had seen it. I guess the biggest trouble of all was knowing that it hit home. It literally hit home. But to see it in the night and in eyes is, I don't know how to explain it. It just seems like time stands still, and it's 100% malevolent. It feels like it was just full of evil. There was nothing gracious, merciful, or anything of the world knows of kindness in this being, animal, whatever it is. But, and the look, this is not what I was prepared for. Other ones I had seen, and, the one couple run-ins I had seen were dog, wolfish-like. This was not. The closest thing I can put it to is a hyena. The snout was not as profound as what you would have like with the wolf type or a dog-like face. It was sort of shorter, but it was pronounced. It was there. And the ears were not tall, 90-degree angle like horns. They were still mounted on the top of the head, but they had, I guess, like an apple tree leaf design. They were round, and the point was not as profound, but it was there. They looked more like satellites. And the closer you got about midway up past the shoulders, instead it was having more prominent, darker patches of fur. Not exactly black, but a real dark brunette brown is what I would say. And the eyes on this thing they would suck all the life out of all the kindness out of the world is what it seemed like to me. And a friend of ours lives down the road here, and they work security away from here, and they leave at wee hours in the morning. This was at 3:02, a.m. is when I seen this. And they were getting ready to leave, and in a panic, after I caught my senses, I walked right back down around the neighborhood looking, because the holler run along close to the edge of the road. And I turned back and seen her vehicle up running, and I wanted to get back down there because I didn't know this thing, the wood line that it ran into leads right back down to their backyard. I didn't know if it could have doubled back or if it was alone, but I went down there, and me and her husband escorted her to her vehicle to make sure that she got in and out of the driveway safely, because I didn't know. But the only thing I know is when I said I know for a fact, I do know for a fact. They have been in Virginia. They're in Virginia. They're currently in Virginia. And now, when it gets to the point that they're in our backyard, a place where we come to unwind, love, trust our family, live with our family, conduct life as we would normally, and know that these things are right outside the back door, something's got to change. Something's got to give. Before, when you go to sleep, knowing that, you're safe and sound in your own home, now you sleep with one eye open and one ear to the wall. Just to that point. And I've upped my game a little bit as far as security and techniques and things to be watched for and cameras, because we just don't know. And we have to protect each other. And that's the only thing I know to do, is to be vengeful and watchful and pray that the good Lord always has my back, as he does right now, because that in a situation without help, he's the only one that can help. And the people listening out there, especially the ones that know these things are here and try to delay the truth, they need to wake up and tell the American people to submit, because there's just been a couple deaths in the last couple weeks, that you have touched on, that are surrounded in circumstance, and they're saying is a pack of dogs, but we really don't know to believe. The news is so, media is so controlled by outer sources, we don't know whether to believe them or not. Even if it would have been a real pack of dogs, they cover the truth up so much with other things that we don't know what to believe them or not. And I believe with my own eyes. My eyes can't lie. What I've seen was not human, and I believe it's a living, breathing creature, but a man wouldn't stand a chance with one of these things in a one-on-one confrontation, even if he had two knives as long as he's on, because it's built to destroy.
Right. Really quick, I don't like cutting people off, but I kind of want to paint a picture for everybody. So this creature, amber-colored eyes with almost goat or snake-like pupils. Hyena-looking face with a mane. It was about 3.5 to 4 feet on all fours. How big was it when it stood up?
It was every bit of 6.5 to over 7 foot.
Okay, all right. The tail, was there a tail? Because
yes, it had a tail.
Okay.
The tail wasn't as long, but yes, it had a tail. I would say about 1.25 foot, 1.5 long, maybe. Real fluffy.
Okay. Now
it looked like a shop broom.
Okay, yeah, that's a good. So prior to this encounter, you had been hearing noise around the house, on the roof, I believe you said.
Yes, I've heard a couple on the roof, and one night I was sitting here and it sounded like something was bounced off the wall outside.
Okay.
Just like one sound compounded in one area, and I guess if there's any question, I guess we know. I probably know now what was the cause of it.
Yeah. Now, after you had this encounter and it took off, it just disappeared. Has there been any more experiences outside? I mean, have there been noise outside? anymore?
No.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing. It's just been dead. There's normal sounds, but
right.
Nothing that I would categorize. But every sound I hear, when I hear it, if I hear it, I'm looking out the window or going and opening the door and looking out.
Right. Right. Now, for everyone who's listening, this encounter took place in Virginia. We, of course, are not going to mention the area in Virginia. But there is water and there is woods around his area. Did it have to... So, did it travel toward woods or travel toward water when it was going away from you?
Both.
Both, okay.
Because the way the wood line is, it follows the tributary of water, and they both were running in the same area at this direction, and that's the way it followed. That's where it went.
Okay. All right. So, now, you did not see it jump or anything that night? It just, when it moved, how was its movement? Was it fluid? It
was like hydraulics in motion. Yeah, that's the only way I know how to do it. I mean, I tell you, it was so smooth. It was like a golden, I guess you could say, it was like a gold medal and skater. I mean, it was just fluid, perfect in motion, all in one move. I mean, it was like it's been doing it its whole life.
Right.
And it exerted very little energy, it seemed like to me.
Did you get a chance to notice anything? Its arms, hands?
Yes,
legs?
It was very thick. Very thick.
All right. I know it was a brief sighting and you were probably terrified right at that time, so I can imagine what was going through your head, and you probably didn't get it wasn't like you were staring at a picture. But was its arms long, fingernails? Did you see its hands? Were you able to at least see the hands?
Yes, I've seen it. Yes, I've seen its face, the hands, the arms. The arms were very long, but it seemed like it was right down toward the knee.
Okay.
When it stood up, and it had talons on its hands. I wouldn't call them claws. I would call them talons. Because it looked like, instead of coming straight out, sort of arched at an angle, though, most things have a certain degree, it looks like these things just come right off the end of the finger and just turn straight down toward the ground. Right. Looked more like a talon than anything, and they were very pronounced and shiny black.
Okay. So when it was on all fours, what was it? Just walking around? Did it move?
It was staring in a kennel of a dog.
Okay. Now,
a metal chain link kennel.
It didn't move. It didn't walk on all fours. That when you saw it, it just immediately stood up, or did you see it walk for a few feet or on all fours?
I seen it when it seen me. It threw its head up into my light beam, and we stared at each other for, like I said, that brief period, 5, maybe 10 seconds, and then just one unison move. It turned around with its back to me. It stood up as far as it would stand, and I would say 3 seconds it was gone.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to kind of paint a picture for everybody. I was curious if you had seen it, like if it had walked or taken a couple of steps on all fours, just to see if it kind of moved like a dog, or if it was just...
When it seen me face to face, when it made its move, it sort of arched up a little bit forward, and as it's turning around, it's coming up off all fours and onto twos.
Okay.
And I seen its arms from behind as it was getting ready to leap.
So when it leapt, it just, what distance would you say?
I would say it leapt about 10 foot in the air, and when it came down, it probably landed, I would say, 25 feet from where it started.
All right.
The height was one thing. The distance it jumped was a total other.
Yeah. And that when you told me about this encounter, like I said to everyone, it was not an easy thing for you to even... It was the night right after this had happened, and it was not an easy subject for you to even talk about at that point. I'm sure it's still not.
No, it's still not. It's a little easier, but I just come to terms with I accepted it.
Right. And especially with, listening to encounters, but, you also have been looking into these disappearances and attacks. Has there been any mention of the woman that got committed by her family? Has there been any mention of her lately, or is that just a dead subject?
What little I have learned is that people have tried to ask her things, and she will not answer any of the questions. She's not talking to people. She just comes and goes little as she has to. She's staying indoors, and she's not talking or associating with anybody outside her immediate family.
Right.
She's basically cut off. I understand what it looks like. She's cut off from all her friends and her family outside of where she's at now.
Yeah, that's insane. It's sad that a family member would do that to another family member. At least, give the person the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Hey, you might not have saw a Dogman. Just like, maybe you saw a bear. And just give them benefit of the doubt. Don't make them feel like they're completely crazy, especially after they were missing for a period of time. It's very, very disgusting how people treat other people when they have an encounter, and especially when they don't believe that these things exist out there.
She was treated this way, and that's the way a lot of people are shunned, by their family and their friends, and it shouldn't be that way, because they're here. The government knows they're here. The government's known they're here.
Yeah.
But for her own family to turn on her like that, it's unbelievable. It's sickening.
It is. And it's sad. It's sad is, it's what it is. It's like I said, give the poor woman the benefit of the doubt. You saw a bear, you saw a mountain lion, at least just, humor her a little bit, it just doesn't make any sense. I know that if a family member of mine was in that predicament and I didn't believe, I would at least have the courtesy and respect to be like, well, maybe I believe that you saw something, but maybe it was this, and just leave it at that. But people are really, really screwed up. So I know that your hobby, for a lack of a better word, has been going fairly well. You've been sending me disappearances and things like that. I've been checking them out, and the one that you sent me today, very, very interesting encounter. And what's funny is that a lot of the people that had read that post were commenting on, it was pretty much what had happened was a person was killed by their own dogs. And what state was that in? I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Alabama. I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And so they're killed by their own dog, or they were found dead. And their dogs immediately blamed.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't make sense. It's just, when are they going to stop blaming dogs? Just a domesticated pet, or even if it's a wild dog. Yeah, even if it's a wild dog, they're gonna run. They're gonna run.
No.
Away. It just it makes no sense.
They're not even. If you notice, the way they do this is they pull any suspicion away from any wild animal, and they don't, like you said, they don't even blame a coyote. You know, a prairie wolf is what a coyote is. They don't even blame that, or a rabid dog or something. It's always domesticated pet.
Yeah.
I mean, but you can only lie and cover up the truth so much until people, you know, just by their lies and their cover-ups alone, know that there's something bigger there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just getting more and more, you know, I mean, it's sad too, because the ones that we hear about in the paper are probably a quarter of what the ones that really are going on. You know, there's probably 3/4 of them that aren't even reported, because if that was the case, people then would, you know, the non-believers would then be asking some serious questions. Well, why do we have dogs? You know what I mean? Like, well, is it safe to go out in the woods? Is it this? Is it that? You know, and it's a very big cover-up, and it needs to end. It really does.
So. It does. And if you recall one of them I sent you about that missing camper, or the hiker in North Carolina.
Yep.
He was found, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and the circumstances surrounding that are very, very hazy. I mean, they found him, they sent his remains off, you know, to be autopsied, and they're not saying nothing. They're withholding any suspicion as to how he was, you know, how his final moments was. He was off the main trail. They found that he did make a call the day that he disappeared to 911, but he didn't have enough bars on his phone to get all the way through, but it did register the call. Now, the very same day he disappeared, why would he be calling 911? And from what I understand, he was a very experienced hiker. And as you discussed many a time on your other previous shows, following the line, it's down in North Carolina, the Blue Ridge Mountains, which connects right into the Appalachian Trail.
Yep.
And it's a highway. That's another case. I mean, if you notice, all these are coming to the front. It seems like there's a couple more being reported every month.
Yes.
I mean, sooner or later, the government's got to release something, or they can't keep covering it up, because there's just too many animal attacks in every state, especially over here on the East Coast. I mean, they need to tell us something, a little bit of the truth. Even a hint of the truth is better than just a lie.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. But unfortunately, I think we're a long way away from the truth coming from any of the governing bodies that exist nowadays. I mean, they're dealing with their own lies and manipulation, so it's Joe Public really doesn't matter, you know. So
you're exactly right.
And like you said, the East Coast is full of encounters. The Midwest, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas. And the thing is with the internet nowadays, so many encounters are coming up, but it's not. That's the thing that I hear it a lot on the show or in the comment section is, well, why are all these encounters happening now? Well, no, they're not all happening now. What it is with the internet, people are finally getting more brave and sharing their encounters from the 80s, 70s, 60s, 90s, 2000s, you know, and it's just now it's time, you know, Joe Public wants to share what has happened to them and what they have seen. And it's just been going on forever. I mean, the article I shared from 1974 in the New York Times said coy dog, coy wolf, or werewolf on the East Coast. And, you know, it was an article about the coy dog and like the prairie wolf and their way to adapt. But in '74, a huge newspaper to mention werewolf in the headlines is something to be, acknowledged. So
Right.
it's been going on for far too long, and I agree. We need the truth.
A lot of the people like us, people who have had these run-ins, we wouldn't have the bravery if it wasn't for, people like you and Dark Waters and others around the country and the world offering your platform for us to have somewhere to go, to associate with each other, to get to know each other, and to let this out, because trust me, coming from somebody who's experienced it firsthand like that, it's nothing you want to keep inside for very long. And these poor people that live with it some their whole life, I can't imagine where they would be or where I would be if I, didn't have the platform that you offer right now.
Right.
And have for such a long time.
Yeah, it's nothing that I do. I just give you guys a chance to share your encounters and share encounters that I heard. I think a lot of the healing happens in the comment section, to be honest with you. And, that's where the true companionship and bonds and connections are made. People, I see it every day. Today I read, a comment that said, "I'm almost ready to share my encounter with you." Almost. It's, and they're in the comment section and they're just hearing other people share their encounters, and it's helping them, feel okay to share. It's nothing that I'm doing. I don't, and I hate, I just have a platform. That's all I have. I don't do anything other than share encounters and give somebody a chance to share their encounters and have a great group of subscribers who are family and friends now to help each other. And it's been a trip, man. It's been really cool. So,
well, Jeff, I don't know a lot of individuals out there that have a show similar to what to listen to us. Even you offer us the chance to be on there, but you sit there and you listen to us in private phone calls. I mean, and just you listen to us, you help us, and you actually listen and sympathize with us, and you're not pointing fingers or asking dumb questions. Did it look like this? Are you sure you didn't see it? You actually let us get it off our chest. I mean, there's a lot of people like you that have shows similar to yours, but very, very few actually listen to us to let it get it off our chest. I mean, you really, really listen. And people like you and Dark Waters, without trying to self-implement yourself or make yourself, out to be something you're not, or, ask what you've done for me, like others in your field, you actually do care. And that means all the difference in the world right there.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I really, really do. Well, DJ, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
No, but I just want to quote one of your sayings. One of the first times I actually talked to you, and we were on this subject about the governing bodies that cover this up, and you were the one that said how much American blood has to be spilled and how many of us have to die before they finally admit the truth. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And please, stay in touch with me. And I really do appreciate when you send me some of your findings, because it gives me something to share with everybody else, so people can start realizing how many disappearances are out there, and the blame game on the modern day canine that lives in our house. So please stay in touch and keep me in the loop on anything that you come across, all right?
All right, I'll do my best.
All right, thanks, buddy. Have a great night. God bless.
You too. Bye-bye.
I told you guys that I heard this encounter, and it was terrifying to hear DJ tell me, especially the day after it happened. And then when he told me it was a hyena like Dogman, or looked like a hyena. I don't think there's a variance or variations or classes. I don't buy into that. I think that there's different, like humans, we all look different. You know, there's white people, black people, Chinese, Native American, but we're all human. You know, it'd be kind of weird if, you know, a Native American was considered a variant 4 of the human species. So I think they just have a different look to them, that they are still in the subspecies, gene, whatever classification that the Dogman is in. I just think they're a little more terrifying looking because they resemble a hyena. Because, as we all know, hyenas are not the friendliest animal. And it's just something about the fact that there is a Dogman that's scary enough looking like a wolf, but something that resembles a hyena is just terrifying. Because instantly we think wild. I don't know why, but wolves are wild animals. Hyenas are wild animals. But we instantly get more afraid, or it's more, people are going to listen to that more or want to hear that more because it's a hyena. Like Dogman. They're all the same in my eyes. They're friggin' scary as heck. They live in the woods. And we don't know what their agenda is, you know? So, and DJ and his not even a hobby. It's more like a volunteering part-time job that he has. Like, he actually spends a good portion of his days researching these missing people or animal attacks, and he's got himself some files there. And yeah, it's just crazy how there's so many people missing or so many people attacked that are not in the news. And I think, just like I said when we were talking, that we probably only hear about 1/4 of the attacks or missing people that have been attacked by an animal and found. Because if the other 3/4 came out, then people would start asking some real questions. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I want to thank DJ for sharing his terrifying encounter. And thank everybody for all of the support and kindness that you guys send my way. Because without you, this channel wouldn't be anything. Thanks, guys, and farewell.